Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to uh it was supposed to be a special episode of the Original Sports Podcast. Maradei and T Sizz, we had a guest all lined up. I just talked to him this morning. Not real sure what happened. But we'll reschedule with him. Hopefully, who knows? He might jump on. But Sizz, what's going on tonight?
Nothing, man. I'm watching the Pens. Got the Panthers on one TV, looking at the Ravens and the Bengals game. It's a great sports night here in Young household.
Yeah, I understand that. Hey, let me ask you a question. Who do you want to see win, Ravens and Bengals?
I'm going to say the Bengals because the Ravens are in first, and just to kind of keep that whole parity going in the North, and have them slip down a notch, keep everybody right in the hunt. Don't want them to separate themselves. That's what I think.
I'm not sure. I know if those Bengals win, well, let me put it to you this way: if the Bengals lose this joint, I think that's it for them.
Yeah, they're both coming off a losing game. I think it was like not the last play, but like one of the last plays of the game, field goal. Both of them last week. T. Higgins is out tonight. They were starting to hit their stride there. They came out very slow, extremely slow to start the year, but they started to pick it up, and now they're right in the mix. But
yeah, I say should be. I know that Burrow's just a competitor, man. I liked him in college.
Yeah,
and I liked him when he went off to LSU. He could have been the first Ohio State quarterback that actually was able to make it in the league, but I think that's going to be CJ Stroud.
Yeah. Who did he play behind that made him want to leave there and go to LSU?
Well, think back. Who was
it? Haskins? No,
it was Fields.
Fields.
Yeah, he was behind Fields, and then Stroud came into the mix. Just a little bit longer after. He was part of that mix because this is what Burrow's third year in the league.
Third or fourth, yeah.
Yeah, which is interesting to me because from that perspective, he has done a crap ton of stuff, but I think you have a short window in the NFL now because of money. Guys want paid, and you can only pay so many people for so long that are at the top of their game, and then it becomes we got to rebuild around somebody again. And yeah, it's usually the quarterback, but I don't know. I mean, Chase is going to want paid. Higgins wants paid after this year. The word on the street is they're going to let Higgins walk. Tyler Boyd's let's just say Tyler Boyd's a little long in the tooth now. So it's different with Tyler Boyd.
Yeah, he's up there. But he can still ball.
He can. But at the end of the day, I mean, he's not a primary target. In fact, he's probably not even the number 3 guy in terms of targets. They have other guys they throw to before him, even though he's the number 3 guy on the field.
Yeah. So Burrow came in 2020, and they went to the big dance. They went to the Super Bowl in 22. So,
yeah,
what I'm getting to.
Well, it's a 21.
Maybe they are hitting that window.
Yeah. They're going to have to pay people. That's the bottom line. You've got to pay people inevitably. Hey, let's talk Ravens a little bit. Is Lamar going to stay healthy for the full year?
Well, I think we mentioned this, or we touched upon this earlier, and I'd say 65-70% chance he does, because they got that running game in full effect. They got the running backs, they got the line. So what that's doing is putting less pressure on him, I think, and he's able to be in the pocket a little longer and try some of those throws that he's been working on, and not have to abandon the play calling and stick with it. I think 65-70% chance he does. And However, if he does get hurt, I think he'll be there for the playoffs. Maybe they'll get a win or two.
Yeah, this is what? This is week 11 for them. They haven't even had their bye week. They were offered a bye week after they were over in Europe, and they turned it down.
Wow.
And to their credit, they've been winning even after that. So, well, they lost last week, but the next week when they came home, they won. So this is an interesting game for them. Cincinnati's coming off that loss to Houston, where Stroud came roaring back in the second half, and they beat Cincinnati. And the Bengals or the Browns took it to the Ravens.
Yeah.
Another second half comeback. So it's kind of interesting from that perspective. It will be. I will be curious to see how this all shakes itself out tonight, because it'll have big implications on what happens Sunday with Pittsburgh and Cleveland. And now with Deshaun Watson out, things are going to change a little bit. So I don't want to say too much about that game just yet. We're going to talk about some of that stuff in our live show on Saturday. Hey, everybody, we will be doing a live show at Rockwell East in Frederick, Maryland on East Street, 1 o'clock this Saturday. It's the 18th of November. And everybody's invited. Be part of that audience. Be part of that crowd. It'll be a festive environment. Nothing like some day drinking on a Saturday right before a holiday.
We'll let you buy the first round on us. Okay.
Yeah. We would enjoy that. It would be a pleasure to have a drink that you would buy for us.
Hey, the Browns are favored by 1 still. I don't want to, like you said, I don't want to get too far into it, but with Watson out, I know their D's playing lights out, but Watson out, they're playing their second or third string guy.
Yeah.
And they're still favored by 1. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, we'll see. They got to be able to establish a run game now. I think Pittsburgh's going to go into this game, though, if we have to honestly talk about it for a minute. I think Pittsburgh will go into this game with the mentality that they take when they play Lamar, because the Peoples Thompson kid, or is it? Well, no, not Peoples Thompson. What's his last name?
For the Browns?
Yeah.
The running back?
No, the quarterback this week. Their third string quarterback is starting this week. But anyway, that kid is pretty good. Dorian Thompson
Robinson.
Yeah. DTR. He's a decent runner. So I would think that Pittsburgh will kind of take a page out of their playbook, the way they play Lamar, and keep him in front of him, intimidate him into passing. If they can stop their run and have him pass, I would hope Pittsburgh has a decent chance. I'm not sure the way that secondary plays. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They already beat them the first game head-to-head, right?
Yeah.
That was in Pittsburgh, so it'll be a good game. Because, like you said, they have to scheme for somebody different. The guy, I don't know what his record is, but he's stepping in there, and it'll be interesting to see how they come up with a game plan for their backup, who is a little bit more mobile. I don't know about his throwing accuracy, but a lot more, maybe a little bit more mobile than Watson.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. Hey, you been watching any NHL?
NHL?
Yeah.
I'm watching it right now. The Pens are tied 2-2 in the second intermission. We're in that fantasy league, and I'm kicking ass, so that's fun. Paying attention to some guys that I don't normally pay attention to. And
it's interesting.
It is. And the Pens are going for their 6th in a row. Knock on wood, they are able to pull this one out. But yeah, I love hockey. I think it's probably my 1B right now. 1A,
we say that.
1B. And basketball is really taking a back seat. I don't know. I'm having a hard time getting into it.
I like college basketball.
College is different. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's competitive.
And you know what? Women's college right now, they got some big gunners out there. The girl from LSU, was it Iowa? Always in
Clark is the girl from
always at UConn with Ariema, getting them in shape. Women's basketball is pretty tough right now. So it's pretty exciting.
It's underrated.
Totally.
You know, I mean, they've taken their. It's not the same old women's basketball. It's a different version of it, and kudos to the coaches for instilling a different game.
Yeah, they're doing this stuff, and they're sparking some like rivalry, and they're sparking some excitement for the fans to see how each player is going to react, and it is fun to watch. It's good to see. But pro NBA, I don't know. I can't get into NBA because they play when they want to play. To me, like I'm watching football, I'm watching hockey. They're going hard every play. Basketball, it just doesn't seem to have that continuity and consistency for me, and I don't like it.
I was watching highlights last night, and I saw that Draymond Green got into a fight with Rudy Gobert, and a lot of people at one point or another were trying to say that Draymond Green was going to be like, what's his name? Crazy man played with the Chicago Bulls.
Rodman.
Yeah, Dennis Rodman. And I don't see it at all. Rodman was just cut differently. He was just a different egg. He didn't care about scoring 1 point in a game, but boy, he yanked down 30 boards and he'd have a handful of blocks, and he hustled the whole entire time. He wasn't about fighting, and it was I think that game when Rodman played was a much more physical game than what we see in the NBA today. They're constantly behind that arc. I have a hard time watching NBA because I don't buy into shooting 3-pointers. That's just me.
3-on-1, they're pulling up like we're at Ford City.
Yeah.
We were down by 50 at half. We're like, screw it, we're shooting threes.
I don't know. I don't find it gratifying watching guys shoot 3-pointers. I just think it's yes, they're skilled, but and I've said this before, and I'm sure people think I'm crazy for saying it, but Curry reminds me of his dad. His dad could shoot the shit out of the ball. He came off the bench. He was a 6 or a 7, whatever he was. He'd come in, he'd get his points, just shooting the shit out of the ball, and then he'd go back to the bench. I mean, this kid can lead. He's won some championships, but we're also talking about the era where you just go ahead and put together the best players you could potentially get on the floor and rock from there. You hope that that group of guys is going to be able to take you to a championship because you're paying a shit ton for probably 3 or 4 of them. I'm also not a fan of the stuff that like Kevin Durant does, jumping around. He was in, he's here, he's there. He doesn't want to play there. He doesn't feel, whatever, dude. You're getting paid tons of money. Come and teach for a few weeks. Then we'll talk about your salary and we'll talk about your job.
Yeah. Like, I don't understand. Why didn't he stay in Golden State? It was at the contract. So he went somewhere. They built that team. It had him, Harden, and was it Kyrie at the Nets? And then they all can't stand it. There's too much drama. You don't hear about that drama in hockey.
No.
They just play for their team.
I think that's the thing I love the most about hockey. It's rare that you hear about a guy getting in trouble in hockey, getting pulled over for doing drugs, whatever. It's just rare that you hear of anything in hockey that is substance in terms of them doing something wrong.
Hey, you remember we moved here and Ovechkin was doing hot laps around the Beltway? He was going like 120.
Yeah. It was fun when we first got here. We got to see Jordan play as a Wizard. That's the only time I ever saw Jordan play. Yeah. And at least I can go to my grave saying that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Jordan and that group of guys who came through the league, even the guys before that, like Magic and those guys who came before Jordan, just different. They just cut from a different cloth. If you went in the paint against some of those guys, you're going to be lucky to come out of there with your teeth.
Yeah. Well, I think it's changing hands. We got this Wembanyama and this, was it Holmgren? These guys, So it'll be interesting to see the torch being passed. I don't know. LeBron James still got it. He's still playing at a top level, but I don't know how much longer he's going to be able to take that.
Right.
That's tough. 82
Right.
games, and then you want to go and win a championship. That's another what? 35.
I heard his kid's supposed to get cleared maybe tomorrow to play in the league. At USC. So that'll be interesting to see. I mean, apparently James is saying he's hanging around to play with this kid.
That would be really monumental for him. I think that'll probably put the cherry on top. I just hope his son's healthy. Last year when he went down with that heart issue, that was a scare for everyone. And I don't know. What would you do? I'd be like
19-year-old kid. I mean, yeah. I would, as competitive as I would be, I would definitely be hesitant I mean, that's just how I feel about it. And I would, if it was Vincent and he had something like that, I don't know what I would do. I mean, I would need some ultimate reassurances that, he was going to be okay if he went out and competed again. I wouldn't have to worry about Vincent competing in basketball, however, but maybe in hockey or baseball. They don't move around. Yeah, they don't move around enough, dude. They don't move around enough in baseball to really have heart issues. I mean, although I will say it was a good year in baseball. I particularly stuck with it this year, basically to the bitter end. I liked the way it played itself out. I liked that it was two, let's just say, kind of obscure teams who got to the finals and to the World Series, and the Rangers and the Diamondbacks.
Yeah,
that was a breath of fresh air.
Yeah,
I mean, both of them had 100 lost seasons not too long ago, and
it was exciting. It is like, at first I was like, really, these are the teams we want to see. But then I thought they put on a decent show. I liked seeing Texas win. Like, that was their first championship ever. Nolan Ryan, part of the team. That's pretty cool. And Arizona, they hung as long as they could, but I think Texas is pitching, and then they just came out ripping. It was what was it, 4-2? Something like that. Decent series.
Yeah.
So it was good. It was fun to watch.
Yeah. But once it got to 2-2, I think they just lambasted them. That last game, it was like 9-0, and then they ended up winning like 14-11 or some crazy number like that. Today they announced that Shohei Ohtani and Ronald Acuna Jr. were the MVPs in baseball, which I thought was pretty cool. I mean, we're seeing a generational talent in Ohtani. You want to talk about generational talents like people want to talk about. Ohtani's he's tremendous.
We haven't seen anything like this since Babe Ruth, I would say.
Yeah.
With him. And he's gonna just crush the market with his contract. I mean, who wouldn't pay whatever they have to get this guy?
I think he's going to end up just going right up the road, though, to the Dodgers.
Well, that's what they were saying, thinking he would stay on the West Coast. I hope he doesn't go to the Dodgers. I'd rather see him go to the Padres than the Dodgers, because Padres been trying to buy that title for a long time.
Yeah.
Dodgers already bought their title.
Well, you can kind of keep track of what they plan on doing by people that they start moving right now. Look at if they move some pitchers, if they move some hitters, they got to free up some money somehow. I mean, you can't pay Ohtani $50 million, $60 million a year and then, still have a $200 million, $250 payroll. I mean, that's just insane. And then you got a team like, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, they're maybe at $60 million. And it's not fair. I kind of, I've said this before when we've talked. I think the structure of baseball should be almost like it is in professional soccer in Europe, where, there are a couple of different leagues, and if you win one league, you can move up to the next league. And if you're really bad in that league, you go back and you have to earn your way back up. I think baseball should have something more along that lines, because if they're never going to have a salary cap, then some of these teams are just never, ever going to be competitive again.
Yeah. Well, some of those countries have like 3 or 4 teams. I don't know how many teams are there, but isn't there like an A, B, C, D,
Yeah.
I don't know enough about that, but it's just, I don't know how they're going to compete with teams that have, these players that are getting these contracts that are more than a whole team is worth, or a whole team is getting paid. And then, you got, like we were talking, the A's, they're ousting them from Oakland. This is their 4th move from Philly to Minnesota to Oakland. Now they're going to end up in Vegas.
Yeah.
Vegas has four pro teams now, I think.
No, 3. They don't have basketball.
Oh, they're trying to get their 4th. So they have 3 pro teams now.
Think about this. This is just about 6 years they've had. They got 6 years ago, the Knights came in.
The Knights, now the Raiders, the last 2 years, and now they're going to have the Vegas A's.
Yeah. So that's a telling thing to me, that Vegas is loading up on these teams. How is it aligned with the gambling aspect of sports today, or doesn't it matter anymore? Because you can go down to watch the Capitals play, since we live down in this area, and you can literally bet in the same building that the Caps are playing on the Caps game.
Yeah, and you don't even need to go to the games anymore. You don't even need to go to a casino anymore. Everything's on an app. You know, you got instant access to it.
Yeah. You sound like Pittsburgh dad saying it like everything's on an app.
It's on an app, and that, I don't even got to go downtown.
I've never been much of a gambler from that perspective. I think my gambling comes into play with playing fantasy sports. I like playing fantasy sports. It keeps me in tune with what's going on, who's a winner, who's a loser, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. We were in Vegas one year for a bachelor party, and that's where I put my money on. I didn't want to put it on the wheel or cards and stuff. I put it on a game, sat there, hung out, had a beer, watched the game. That was enjoyment, because it lasted longer, even though I didn't win or didn't come home winning. It lasted longer. I won that game, lost that game. That was a lot. That was more fun than just shooting it all down.
If you were going to
15 minutes,
if you were going to place a bet on the top team in the NFL right now to win the Super Bowl, who would you put your money on?
It would have to be the Eagles.
Why?
I just think they got a decent package right now. I'm not so sold on.
That's what she said.
On Jalen Hurts, I know. You got a decent package. Thank you. And but Hurts scares me with that, but they got a good D. They got a good O line, and their running game is all right. AJ Brown is leading.
He's off the charts.
Core. Yep, he is. I just think all around, that's why I would go with the Eagles.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
How about you?
Oh, I know I wouldn't put it on Kansas City at this point, because I don't think they have a proven receiving core. I just saw numbers today that what's his name? Rishi Rice, Rashee, or Rashi Rice, however you say it. He's their top receiver, and he really doesn't have very good numbers. He's their top receiver, not their top tight end or pass catcher. And his numbers are just not that good. And I don't know if they can replace the cheetah. It doesn't look like they can replace the cheetah.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother ball of wax. And if they lose Kelsey again for any period of time, I don't know. And I've been reading a lot. I got Pacheco in my fantasy league, and I've been reading a lot about him, how he's been in a downward turn. So
I just don't have any confidence in any team right now in the AFC. Maybe the Ravens. But definitely I would go with, I think the NFC is a little bit more solid right now.
I don't know. I'm not real big. I don't find the Ravens to be a team that, and this is me talking, and I'm not talking like a homer, but I feel like the Ravens are just kind of, I don't want to say scraping by, but they're just doing what they need to do sometimes to get through. Far be it from me to criticize that, because we've watched Pittsburgh go 6-3, and they're the worst team I've ever seen go 6-3. They've been outgained in every game.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't, I can't even comment to that from that perspective, but I don't see it with the Ravens, because eventually you're going to hit that wall, just like Pittsburgh's going to hit that wall. They go to Cleveland this weekend, and they go to Cincinnati. Who knows how they come out of those two? You might find them at 6-5.
Yeah. Well, they only need to win 3 more to save
For Tomlin to have a winning season. I know.
500 record.
Do you have stock in that, though? Like, is that something that's really important?
No.
And my thing has always been that if you're a professional sports team owner, it's great to put people in the seats and have a winning record, but I would think you'd want to win championships. Like, if I was an owner, I would align especially if I had money, I would align my team to win championships.
Well, yeah, players got incentives. They have incentives, right? You have this many catches, you have this many passing touchdowns, rushing touchdowns, tackles, sacks, so on and so forth. They've got incentives. Does the coach have incentives? I know he wants to win, but if he gets that 500 record, does he get a bonus? I don't know.
If you had to rank the top 5 coaches right now, who would you think would be your top 5?
What do you mean, of all time or in the league?
No, in the league right now, in the NFL.
Holy heck.
Would Andy Reid be number 1?
I think I love him because he's so innovative.
And he calls the offense.
And creative and open-minded. And, they're saying Steelers are winning despite their record and despite their players. I'm like, of who they have. I'm like, they got a decent team. They got just put it all together. I think Reed is doing a good job. His offense doesn't seem like he has, like you just mentioned, the receivers there, right?
Right.
But his defense has gotten better. So I would put Andy Reid up there. I put Shanahan in there in that mix. I love what he does with his team, his offensive play calling.
How about LaFleur?
He was at first. But I like the guy from Philly, obviously.
Yeah.
Would
you put Tomlin in that group? Top 5?
I think definitely Tomlin's in that conversation. Tomlin and Harbaugh. Oh, you know who I like? I love, actually, the guy from Detroit.
Got you.
He fires.
Dan Campbell. There was rumblings.
He fires the heck out of people.
There was rumblings that he was going to actually go to Texas A&M.
Really?
Yep.
Before we get into that, I like D'Amico Ryans too in Houston.
Oh, I think he's fantastic.
I think he's doing a good job. Talk about going into a situation where there's no expectations and just superseding everything that people thought that they would be able to do. I think he's doing phenomenal. About that Texas A&M, I saw Jimbo. He's getting a $76 million severance.
Yeah, I was going to talk about this at our Saturday show. Interestingly enough, with that severance, His first year of coaching, he made $20,000. His second job, this job right here where he's getting bought out at $76 million, literally, he's going to make $26,000 a day for 8 years.
Who's he, Bobby Bonilla?
I did the math. I heard it, and I'm like, there's no way. It's something like $26,800 a day.
We made $26,000 our first teaching year.
Is that what we made?
I made $26,000 my first teaching year. You're a little.
I think prettier. I made 32.
You're a little
because
prettier.
I worked.
Yeah, you're a little prettier than me. They gave you a bonus.
Maybe.
But here's the interesting stat behind that I saw. He's getting $76 million. The Power 5 has paid out $146 million in the last 2 years for these coaches to walk. That's insane.
That is insane.
$146 million for Power 5 schools to cut some of their coaches loose in the past 2 years. How do they afford that? That's
you know how they afford it? They afford it because of their alumni. They've got some very, very wealthy alumni who put money back into the the schools. And I'm not sure, I don't get that. IEP ain't getting a penny out of me, bro. That ain't happening. Now I always say that for my Vandegrift family, friends, the place I grew up in Western PA, I always say that if I ever won big cash, that I would go back there and clean that town up. I would take a large chunk of money and go back and clean that town up. I would. I really would.
I'd open St. Gert's back up.
I do whatever I need to do to clean that town up. I had great memories growing up in small town Western Pennsylvania. That was a lot of fun. And to see it go because of the steel mills and things like that, I mean, it's a little disheartening from that perspective, but, it is what it is.
Yeah. I guess maybe the NIL has helped with that too.
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, there's dudes. I mean, if you listen to what Caleb Williams said, he literally said that if he doesn't like he doesn't like where he's going to get drafted or who might draft him, that he essentially is going to, there's Kasparaitis. Hey, look, our guest finally made it. I can't wait to hear what the hell he has to say.
All right.
What's going on, Mr. Kasparaitis? How are you?
I'm good. I had no power, so we just got power back, and I totally forgot about it.
You're gonna have to You're gonna have to get back in the league so you can pay the electric bill.
I know. I forgot to pay the bill. They took the power off.
Hey, I'll tell you what. The way you hit, you could probably still hit like that and be the top guy in the league.
Probably, yeah.
Would they let you do that today?
Excuse me?
Would they let you do that today? Play like you played then?
Probably not. They let me do in my men's hockey league.
I was going to ask if you played some beer hockey.
I do, yeah, and I got suspended a couple of years ago for 2 games.
What'd you do?
2-week suspension, but they called me after 1 week.
Oh, they can't play without you. Yeah, you playing defense in that league, or they put you on the wing?
I always play defense. I like to control things.
You still use your patented bend the guy over when he's coming down the lane?
Hip check? No more hip checks. My knees are not really stable anymore. So no more.
I was just watching some clips of you earlier, and my favorite hit was when you laid the hammer to Lindros. He's coming down the boards, has his head down, and that was as clean as it gets. Talk about that hit. Where were you at on that play?
Well, I think we're killing penalties and penalty, and I think I used to love hitting guys because usually when they break out in the neutral zone, I usually try to find a guy with the head down because usually deep past the puck to the wings on the boards, and I think it just ended up being that Eric I think lost the puck between his skates, and I just finished my check. I was just not going to hit him Unfortunately, he got hurt. When that time when I play, I don't think I felt bad, but now, of course, I feel bad because he got injured, when you injure somebody, it's not a really good feeling. It's a good feeling that you had a nice hit, but same time, it's not a good feeling the guy gets hurt.
Well, we were watching that over. I mean, I watched it over a ton of times, and they show you going over the bench and they're clapping and cheering.
Yeah.
And that's, like you said, that's never your intent. But man, you went out and just bust balls. you kicked ass, and we appreciated it as a hometown fan. We appreciated your style and your grit and your just toughness. That was a lot of fun to watch. So thanks for bringing those fun years to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I love playing in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh was a fun town, and felt like home to me. I still have connections to Pittsburgh. My daughter was born there. My first child was born in Pittsburgh, so I always gonna have Pittsburgh in my heart.
Hey, what was it like playing over in Moscow when you were a young man?
Well, I know it was hard in the beginning because I came to Moscow as a 14-year-old kid from Lithuania. I thought I spoke good Russian, but at that time I realized my Russian was not really good. So I moved from Lithuania, from Lithuanian school to Russian school, and basically 2 years in the high school, they told me not to say anything, and they're gonna give me like a C minus. So I basically sat there for 2 years in school, just bugging my teammates because we went to school, we went to a special school, only athletes go to that school. So my class was a lot of teammates from in my class was a lot of teammates there. So I used to, bug them during the school times. But Moscow was fun. I was very young. It was good experience. I had a chance to play with very great players, and until I was 19, before I came to the NHL. But before that, it was a lot of fun. I love it.
Who was on those teams that you played against? Anybody that like anybody we know? Some of those guys that played on that Russian team that was in the Olympics.
Oh, 92 Olympics, yeah, most of our team, 92 Olympics playing NHL, Alexei Kovalov, it was Dmitry Yushkevich, my partner Dmitry Mironov, then Zhamnov, Butsayev, Kovalenko, all the guys, Malakov, Vladimir, Kovalov played for Pittsburgh. It was a lot of guys that most of the team, besides two veterans, Bykov and Homutov, didn't play in NHL, but most of the guys playing in NHL after.
Melikov was legit. I remember him playing in the NHL.
He was a big human, he was a very strong, big defenseman. I don't think people realize how much talent he had. I think Vladimir, he didn't really he cared much about the game, but I don't think he was very, vocal or very, flashy player. So I don't think he got a lot of credit for it. But he was a great defenseman.
Hey, Darius, before we get too far into this, we wanted to just say, hey, happy birthday, 51. Did you do anything fun or special for your birthday?
Not really. My 50th birthday. My 50th birthday, I celebrated on a soccer field with my kids because my kid had a tournament in Palm Beach. So I had a bunch of little kids singing me a happy birthday, and then I had a little dinner with my family. So I don't know. Since I was a kid, I don't really like celebrating birthdays. Maybe because I grew up in a poor environment, and maybe my birthday was not a big deal. So
yeah,
I think it's my wife's thing and my kids' thing to celebrate birthday. For me, it's just simple. Happy birthday is good enough.
Yeah.
You sound like a family man now.
I am a family man. You know what? One birthday celebrated in Canada, and there was a bunch of kids singing me a happy birthday. Maybe like 5 years ago, it was probably 500 kids singing. I was on the stage and they started singing me happy birthday. I almost started crying. It was so emotional. See all these kids singing happy birthday. But yeah, I'm a family man. I'm a father of 6 kids, so you can call me a family man.
Nice.
6 kids, Darius.
Yeah, 6.
Wow.
My first number was number 6, so and then it was number 11. So I realized I have to match one of the numbers. So 6 was enough,
Yeah, don't do 11. Don't do 11.
No.
You'll definitely have to start playing for money again.
Believe me, I already have to now.
So it was about almost 30 years ago you broke on the scene. Who'd you emulate your game after, or who'd you look up to?
I think I had my own style. I think it was. I don't know. When I grew up, I watched Soviet hockey a lot, so I know like Fetisov, Kasatonov, was one of our heroes that we watched as a kids. The Russian Five and the way they play the game was fun to watch. But I think I just developed my own style. The reason I did that, I think, when I came to, I was always very competitive and aggressive player since I was a kid. I remember my first hit. I hit somebody when I was like 9, and it felt so good. And I realized hockey was a perfect sport. If you don't like something or if things don't going well, you can just start hitting people and get some negative energy out of you. So I think when I came to NHL. I don't know if I was a hitter, but I realized, the ice surface. I mean, the stadiums were ice surface were so much smaller than Europe, so it was so much easier for me to hit. I think I was a pretty good skater and not a big size, but I can go from point A to point B in a pretty good speed. So I think I realized there was a easier way to hit people here, but also I realized that people appreciate it more. So you don't have to score goals to be fans' favorite. But if you play the style that I did, I realized especially my first year in New York Islanders, I remember every time I hit somebody, people would go crazy and they call my name, Darius. I was like, wow, this is cool. So I realized that that's you have to it was something that I love to do.
And you think back to when you were a kid and how far you came right there. But let me ask you this: where'd you hang out after the games in New York? Any place cool?
In New York,
Yeah,
as Islanders or Ranger?
as a Ranger.
Nah, you know what? That was maybe already older players, so we just used to go to restaurants and you know things like that. We didn't go anywhere crazy. Because,
Pittsburgh. How about the South Side or the Strip?
Pittsburgh, yeah, I love Pittsburgh.
South Side.
Shady Side, South Side.
Mario's.
No, when I played, we had Strip District.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know, one of the clubs, maybe Bear Elegance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hopefully nobody did it. But otherwise, we used to go to Morton's. I think it was the one restaurant open after the games. Was Morton's Steakhouse.
Yeah.
So we used to eat there a lot.
Did everybody take turns picking up the tab, or did everybody send it to Mario's? Send Mario the tab.
Mario never paid for anything. He was, he always made us pay for everything. I remember my first trip when I got traded to Pittsburgh. I was on the plane, and everybody were playing cards, poker. I was like, wow, this is crazy. These guys are, this is a fun team. So I have to lose a lot of money before I became, friends with everyone. So and I remember Mario was one of them, and he made me write him a check after the trip.
Do you think that's because you laid his ass out?
No, Mario and Jagger, Mario, they're very pretty good poker players. I remember writing Mario Lemieux a check for like $4,000.
That was big money back then, right?
Yeah, a lot of money. I asked him to give me like a break, but he wouldn't do it.
Hey, did you hear they're finally putting Yager's number up in the rafters in Pittsburgh?
Well, finally retired, so I think they're waiting for him to retire. I don't know officially if he retired, but that's Jaromir is one of the. I think Jaromir is one of the players that played the most in the league with, and he was a great human and was a great player. Especially when Mario left, he took over the Penguins. He carried the Penguins for many years after he got traded to Washington. But he was a great player. He deserves to be in the rafters.
You think he's one of the top 10 all-time players, Darius?
Oh, definitely. I think so. Did he make top 10?
I haven't seen his name in the top 10.
No? Wow.
No.
Top 100.
Easily top 100. Hey, probably top 20 at least, without a doubt. I mean, the guy's still playing. He's still playing over in what? In the Czech Republic.
Yeah.
Yeah. He has nothing else to do. He has no kids, so what else are you going to do?
Yeah, exactly. If he was like you, he wouldn't have any time to play hockey anymore.
Oh, probably more.
Hey, who was your favorite guy to battle with when you played?
Battle with? Like opponent?
Yeah.
Well, you don't really like to battle against guys, But I really like playing flyers because you can go under the skin and, like Leclerc and Lindros. I think Eric was one of the guys that battled a lot. Then, Heath Jones, you can make him take stupid penalties. I don't know, especially when I came to the league, Mark Messier, Adam Graves, the Ranger guys, they were used to go after me all the time because I used to hit Messier all the time. I had a lot of good times.
You didn't happen to play with Messier then when you went to the Rangers, did you?
Oh yeah, I played with Messier. I became good friends with Adam Graves. I still see him a lot during Rangers alumni. He's one of the classiest men I ever met in my life. When you play against him, I thought he was a dirty little prick, but I play the same way basically. But as a man, as a human, after off ice, he's very classy.
I'll tell you what, one of my favorite things about you guys, professional hockey players, but hockey players in general, is you stay out of trouble, basically, and you know how to be gentlemen, essentially, when you leave the ice. Unlike, other sports, guys get themselves in trouble and they're always doing dumb shit. But you guys, as hockey players, that my son plays ice hockey, and I always tell him, I say, dude, you go out there and you play your ass off, and I don't care who you hit and what you do, but when you are done at the end of the game, you're shaking hands and you're moving on. You leave it on the ice. And I kind of felt like that's the way you guys played in the NHL.
Well, the thing it is, you can hate a guy from another team, but then when you're done and you meet a guy, off the ice, I think you always respect what they do, and they respect you. It's just a part of the game. You leave everything on the ice, and then whatever happens. Listen, we used to fight in practice, but then you go out and take care of the business, and have a couple of beers, a good dinner, and we're friends again. So I think hockey is like a blue collar sport. You leave your emotions there, then you put it on the side, and you become friends.
Yeah, there's no time to dwell on that. You're mentioning about the grit and getting under people's skin. How do you think you changed the other team's game plan when they knew they were playing number 11, Darius Kasparaitis?
Well, I don't really try to change the game plan. I think the best way to make the team stop playing is to go after the star players from the team, and if you make a couple good hits, they lose the composure and try to take penalties, and hopefully we can use our power play and score goals. So I don't think that was my goal, but my intentions, but most of the time I looked for the big hits, and it was a bonus if you hit somebody like, Brett Hall, or, when I play against Lemieux or Gretzky, I don't think our team liked it very much.
Oh, definitely not. You controlled the blue line. You got in the scrum behind the net. Everywhere, they had to keep their head on a swivel. I think that you're being modest here. They definitely had a game plan. They needed to know where you were at all times. Go ahead. What are you going to say, Mark?
I was going to say, the one thing about, going after the big guys too, it sets a tone in the game that, just because you're playing against Gretzky or you're playing against Hall, who's a goal scorer, you're playing against Lemieux, that doesn't mean they're any different. They put their skates on just like everybody else. You get a shot at them, you take it.
Well, when I play, I didn't care who was, I didn't really understand what's the point playing the game if you're allowed to hit Gino Oggi, but you don't have to hit Mario Lemieux or Wayne Gretzky. Because they are great players and because they make more money and they're more, famous, you're not allowed to touch them. I don't think that it's fair. It's fair for the game. I think you still have to play. You try to play clean and not to injure them, but at the same time you want to put some fear into them. The way they don't have to. You try to neutralize it because if you let them fly and do whatever they do without being worried about getting hit, so they're probably gonna do very easily. I do that every day. I do right now every day at the lunch hockey. I know nobody's gonna hit me, so I dangle all of
it. You watch a lot of hockey still? Well, when you're not taking care of those 6 kids?
Sometimes, most of the playoffs right now, it's very hard. My schedule is very I have to put my kids to sleep around 9, so usually there's no time to watch hockey. Sometimes I watch, if my teams play like Pittsburgh Rangers or Rangers Islanders, if I have a chance to watch it, I kind of watch now Alex Ovechkin chasing Gretzky's records. I'm very interested if he's gonna break it, but. I watch soccer more. I'm a big Manchester City fan, so I watch Saturday mornings. Usually, I watch soccer.
Did you watch Sunday's game?
Sunday's
Against
game,
Chelsea?
Chelsea. Yeah, I did. Horrible. Bad. I was so sad.
Bad loss.
But the next game is coming even bigger against Liverpool, so we have to win that one.
Do you miss seeing that brand of soccer in the United States?
Excuse me?
Do you miss watching that high-level brand of soccer because you live in the States?
We still have a capability of watching English Premier League, but also other leagues. But being living in Miami and watching Messi coming here and
I forgot about that.
Having soccer crazy here, it was cool to watch him. Coming to the team was in last place and tried to make playoffs, winning the cup, and it was awesome place to be. Especially Miami. There's a lot of Latin Americans here, so it's still people waiting for next year to see if we're gonna have the same great success as they did this year.
But those stadiums don't rock like they do in Europe, though.
Oh no, of course not. Every time I went to Manchester to watch the games, I went to Wembley Stadium last year to watch Man United, Man City FA Cup final. It was unbelievable feeling. Stadium split half and half. Half City fans, half United fans, and and especially beating United, it was a great feeling to be there and see people sing songs and show the middle fingers to the other half of the 40,000 people.
Yeah,
men acting like little kids.
You're talking about these different sports. How does that compare? How does it set hockey apart, in your opinion, from other sports? You played it since you were, what you said, little. It seems like the bond in hockey is just so strong, and we see it as different. How do you compare it with other sports, whether you played them or just observed them, watched them as a fan?
Well, I think similar to hockey, maybe be a football, American football, because I think hockey is a very big team. We have 20, sometimes 23 guys on the roster, and I think football has even, double size of that, or maybe more. So I think, we have superstars, and we have people that, play different roles. So I think hockey, I think it's the hardest sport to play, because you have to skate, you have to have good stick on puck coordination, and there's also people trying to hit you. It's one of the hardest sports to play, probably to learn how to play, and basketball and soccer, it's different, but it's still very hard sport. Sometimes you don't realize it until you start watching how they play, and it is pretty physical sports, basketball, I watch, my one of my kids play basketball, and then I watch a lot of soccer. It's not easy. It's not very easy sport to play.
No.
You got to be in great shape to play either one of those sports.
Yeah.
And you got to be in great shape to play hockey. Before you came on, Terry and I were talking, and we were talking about basically how hockey to us is like, number one along with football. It's almost a tie because hockey is just so fast. It's so physical. But I don't think it's as physical of a game today as it was back in the day when you were playing. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I think I agree because I think it comes from, I think kids hockey, junior hockey. I don't think there's a lot of hitting now in the junior hockey. They try to clean up the game on the lower level. So I think kids don't even learn how to hit or how to find a hit or how to get hit. So I think that's where you see a lot of injuries happen, especially with concussions. Because, when I was a kid, the first thing my coach taught me, if you see somebody with the head down, you go hit them, you know what I'm saying? That was the number one rule.
Yeah.
You look for the guy with the head down. Right now, I guess I don't think they talk about those things anymore to the kids, Maybe they say maybe you can, close the gap and try to use the stick more often. But, the hitting was more when I played, for sure. Right now, I don't feel like Even when you hit somebody, when somebody hits somebody, you're always like, oh my God, what's going to happen now? Is this guy going to get suspended, or is this guy going to get kicked out, or the other team's going to go after him? I was watching Panthers a couple of days ago, and Dmitry Kulikov hit this guy at the dart. Nice, simple hit, and the team went crazy, and it was like, oh my God, this is nothing that when I played.
Well, they're trying to make Bedard the next. They want him to overtake McDavid as the next superstar. Yeah. They talked about all the goals and everything he scored, but he's a little guy. But
listen, if I play right now, that will be like my number one choice to go after them every single shift, just to make other team crazy. Just stop playing, just want them to kill me or chase me around the ice and take penalties. Why not? I don't know why guys don't do that anymore. Why don't we have guys like me or Sean Avery or Matthew Barnaby that just in your face, don't care any, just go and Ulf Samuelson, you just play the game hard. I think Ratko Gudas just one guy left in the league who can still hit.
They're trying, making it an offensive league. Fans want to see scoring, but like you said, they get excited over a hit, but they won't let them hit as intense and as often as what it was in the 90s. Yeah. And that was part of the game, and you did it legally. You weren't out there to hurt, but you did.
No, yeah, you don't want to hurt anybody. You want to make a nice hit. The people go crazy, especially when you play in Civic Arena or Igloo. So it's it was part of the game. Right now, it's like I think salaries change. Guys make a lot of money now, so they want to protect also by investments on the players, because they don't want the players to be injured and miss games.
Yeah. If you had to pick the best player in the game right now, who would you say it is?
Well, I think Connor McDavid, the way he skates, it's insane. Actually, I really I never watched Hughes from the Devils, but I watched him in play. I watched him in playoffs this last year. I was like, oh my God, that kid can fly. He's a very unique player. But of course, McDavid, I think, is one of the top choices now in the league.
Who do you think would have won in a race? Primetime Pavel Bure or Jack Hughes?
Oh, Bure for sure. That guy was a rocket. That's the reason they call him Russian Rocket.
Yeah,
he can fly, Pavel.
He was a special player, man. I remember watching you guys play in person. Watching him play in person, I was like, holy shit, that guy can move.
He's fast, yeah. Pavel was fast.
What do you think of a guy like Tom Wilson, guy from the Caps?
I love him. That's the guys. We had like guys like that. At least 4 or 5 guys on the team. Each team had it, who play hard game and who was fighter, a hitter, and goal scorer. Typical power forward in the 90s, like Kevin Stevens. He was Rick Tocchet. I wish it was more guys like that.
Yeah, it's definitely rattling chains and getting people's attention, making sure they know where he is on the ice.
Yeah, he can play too.
You played in the Olympics, right?
Yeah, 4 Olympics.
How were those experiences?
It's very. I have a very bad memories, because I feel like it was so much stress, especially when you are playing as an NHL player. I think we used to fly in, go to the village, play, and leave. It was not like we had time to go and walk around the city, enjoy free time. We had games back to back, day off, back to back, and you fly back. So, but it's cool to have something that tell people that I play in 4 Olympics, which is very unique. I think not a lot of people can tell that, can say that. Not a lot of athletes can go to 4 Olympic games, especially me coming from Lithuania, where there's no hockey, and playing one of the most games from Soviet-born player ever.
And you played for Russia in all 4?
Yeah, it was USSR, but then it was I played for like no country. It was it was a unified team, because Soviet Union fell apart, and then I played for Russia 3 Olympics there.
Okay,
Darius, I got one more question for you.
Okay.
What's the legacy that you want or you feel you've left behind in the NHL, or in terms of your hockey career?
Well, I think, especially playing in Pittsburgh, I think people really appreciated my hard nose type of hockey game. Blocking shots, playing hard, playing physical game. I think people appreciated that. And as a Ranger, I think I left a legacy, the stick salute. That everybody does it after the game. People go in the middle, raise the sticks.
Yeah.
That was my idea originally.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that's pretty neat.
Yeah,
I will tell you that
you're still
as a
doing it.
Pittsburgh fan, although I don't live there anymore, I live near DC, but as a Pittsburgh fan, that you are still beloved in that city from what you did on that team. And I'm sure you know that.
Oh yeah, every time I go back to Pittsburgh, sometimes and I see people still wearing my jerseys, that means a lot. That I feel like I left a lot of impression on a lot of people in Pittsburgh. Especially playing in the late '90s. So I feel like people appreciate my talent and the way I play the game, and I'm really grateful to be part of the Pittsburgh's journey. I actually started watching a YouTube documentary about 50 years of Pittsburgh Penguins. So I'm gonna, after this, before I go to sleep, I'm gonna watch my next 20 minutes.
We just love tough ass people from back there because all our parents were steel mill workers. So
you said it best. It's a blue collar sport. You played it a blue collar way in a blue collar town, and we couldn't be more proud to be here with you tonight. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Thanks
guys.
for joining us,
Thank
my
you.
guy.
No problem.
Hey,
Thank you.
Go get them 6 kids in bed and give your wife
All
some
right.
love.
All right.
Talk
Bye,
to you
guys.
soon.
Bye. Good night.
See ya.
Bye.